Hello, friends, and welcome to today's daily devotion. I'm reading to you from the book of James, the first chapter, the 13th verse. Hear now these words. No one, when tempted, should say, I am being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil, and He Himself tempts no one. Now, there may be some of you who are familiar with your scriptures who may be wondering about how this statement from James can be reconciled with what is put into the Lord's Prayer when Jesus says we ought to pray, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. One might say, well, if Jesus is praying that God not lead us into temptation, how then can James say God never tempts anyone? If Jesus said God could do it without us praying for it, then how is James able to say that's not the case? Well, we need to unpack this just a little bit and have a better sense of what both James and Jesus are talking about. You see, the Christian cliche is that God won't ever give you anything more than you can handle. And when we look at this idea of temptation, there's actually some truth to the statement, because God does not tempt us with more than we are able. God doesn't tempt us at all. Now, God does do something called test us, and a testing is different from a tempting. Now, I know in English those two words sound very, very similar. And in fact, if we go and look at some of the best translations of Jesus' prayer, he's probably better saying, lead us not into testing, but deliver us from evil. For you see, it is okay for us to ask God to spare us from being tested, while accepting that if we are tested by the circumstances of life, that God will be there to help us out. But if we want to do something wrong, if we are tempted by a lie, tempted by the opportunity to take what isn't ours, tempted to cheat on our taxes, to cheat on our spouse, all of these kinds of ideas that will hurt others or hurt ourselves, doesn't come from God. That comes from the evil inside ourselves. So God will help you in temptation, and God will deliver you through testing. So don't ever blame God when things are not going the way you want them to. And I'll see you tomorrow for another daily devotion.